Welcome. I'm Larry Olsen, and this is the Brain Vault Podcast. Did you know that the thoughts you're thinking right now are shaping the life you'll live tomorrow? Well, in this podcast, we just don't talk about mindset. We decode the blueprint behind behavior, performance, and possibility. This is where science meets real-world strategy, and your brain stops running on autopilot. If you're ready to turn default thinking into intentional living, you're in the right place. Well, welcome, and think about this for a minute. Most breakthroughs, they don't start in a lab. They start at a table. Welcome to the Brain Vault Podcast, where science meets success. My guest today is Michael A. Forres, and he didn't set out to build a business. He set out to fix a moment. For more than 20 years, Michael hosted a Thursday ritual wine night. Friends, music, conversation, sometimes 2 people by the fire, sometimes 50 fill in the yard. And yet, night after night, the same friction showed up. Great red wine that wasn't ready. And no one had hours to wait. Then came a moment of insight on the Gloucester shoreline, watching waves roll over rock, instantly releasing aroma and character. Now think about that. And the question shifted, what if we could open through movement, not time? And that question became a sketch. The sketch became a prototype, and then the prototype became liquid jazz. The first patented decanter designed to bring out the bottle's most best character in 4 minutes. Now, Michael speaks less as an inventor and more as a host, someone who understands that ceremony matters, design shapes experience, and the best ideas don't interpret tradition, they evolve it. So you out there, if you're curious where innovation really comes from and how small design shifts can transform connection, you're going to want to lean into this conversation. Michael, I'd like to welcome you to Brain Vault Podcast.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to this.
Outstanding. Hey, Michael, when you look back at that moment by the shoreline, what was the real breakthrough for you? The design of the decanter itself, or the realization that people weren't trying to rush wine? They were trying to preserve the moment around it.
Yeah, I think it was more the rushing of the wine. It was, for me, it was, the wine nights that we have on Thursday nights. I would open 2 or 3 bottles hours before to give them a chance to rest and settle and let everything that was all the organic compounds that were trapped in the bottle to just release and be able to enjoy the flavors. So we'd be sitting there, and then there's 2, 3, 4, 5 of us, and the wine's flowing, we're drinking, and then another car would pull in, another. Next thing you know, there's 20. I have to go get another bottle of wine because I've been making wine, like you said, for 20 plus years. And it just wasn't the same. It wasn't as enjoyable. I mean, we all sat and drank, and the ones who got there that didn't get the one before didn't know any better.
Sure.
But it bothered me. And then, we love the Gloucester shore. So we go up as a family pretty much every year. And I'm just sitting and it was a beautiful, beautiful day. It was slack tide. There happened to be a lobster boat right out front. I'm watching them pull the traps, and I'm sipping my homemade wine. And then the tide changed and the waves started crashing. And all of a sudden, my favorite part of being by the ocean is the salt water and the seaweed and the smells the ocean gives you. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, you know what? That could be a way. And then, so it's there. It's just set in the back.
Sure.
And then a friend of mine and I, we used to go for walks. We live by a river here in Sturbridge, Massachusetts. And we're walking along the river that winter. And again, it's funny how things just fall into place. We're walking that winter. It was a very cold winter. So the river was pretty much all frozen. It's a small river. But there was one section, probably a foot in diameter, maybe 2 feet long. and the water was rolling over a series of rocks right there. And there was a low branch sitting there, and there were icicles forming on the branch.
Hmm.
And I'm looking at that, and I said to my friend, Johnny, look at that. And he goes, yeah, it's a hole in the ice. What? Yeah, I said, but I was in Gloucester. And I'm explaining the whole thing to him, and he's just kindly agreeing. Friends are good friends. And I knew a gentleman who owned a sheet metal shop. So I drew out a rudiment drawing, and I went to him, and out of food grade stainless, he made me a prototype. And then the following Thursday at wine night, there was 5 of us. And I said, look, I have this idea. I haven't tried it yet. So we poured in a bottle, we rocked it, and it worked.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. It was so cool. We had so much fun with that.
So was it difficult to determine the distinction between being open for 4 hours or the 4 minutes with your decanter?
Actually, the 4 minutes created a much more enjoyable wine than the 4 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, because the wine, like you were saying in the intro, it just sat there
Gotcha.
and you relied. So with the size of the decanter I have, and I have steps on both sides, and it rocks, and I
Okay.
have it here. Um, I could change the volume. It was open, and the surface area changes every time it would rock at back and forth. Where before, the organic compounds were released, but this here helps to eliminate the sulfites, so you don't get the swelling or the headaches. And it helped soften the tannins, soften the acidity, and the alcohol smell went away. So when you did
Oh,
smell the wine, you actually smelled the fruit. I'm not good at that with really picking out what's supposed to be there. I mean,
you're
for
not the
25
sommelier.
years, yeah, I watch them and I'm like, I don't know how you learned to do that. We're more of a take a sip and go, oh, I like that, or ooh, yeah, not so much.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Which is where
So
most of us lie.
correct, right, and that's who I'm reaching out to. I have done some presentations to sommeliers, and they're just blown away by the change and the quickness of it.
All right.
But then they get into all that other stuff, and that's part of the struggle I'm having right now is um, reaching the audience that just wants to enjoy a glass of wine. It's
Hmm.
not price sensitive. It's not where somebody rates this a 95 bottle of wine. And I mean, I played cards on Monday night with friends, and I was the big winner last week. I won $8. And right, we just get together to have a good time. So I bring the decanter with me. Actually, this guy has one, and he drinks Fortissimo with a gallon. He buys a gallon of it. So we just pour that in, and it's like $12.99 a gallon. We just pour in what is a typical 750 milliliter worth in the decanter. We rock it, and it changes that and makes it just more enjoyable and more flavorful. So that's where I'm trying to hit.
Sure. Well, it seems like that's a huge market because so many people I would say the majority of people enjoy a glass of wine, but aren't connoisseurs. And so therefore they're price conscious. And they're not getting the great bottle of wine that's got flavor no matter what. But sounds like there's something about this decanter that even gives the newest bottles of wines the property of aging and having much more flavor, especially when you talk about getting the histamines out of there, which does cause people headaches, um, especially in red wines, as well as the opportunity to really begin to recognize that without that alcohol interference, we certainly want it within the wine, but not taking over the flavor. You've really created something remarkable.
Yes. And every time I do a demonstration or I use it for myself, I mean, I know it's mine and we're all proud of,
Sure.
things we do and family and all that stuff, but I usually go, I can't believe how it works. And it does every time. And I get so excited about it. even though I'm sitting there by myself.
Yeah.
So
You've got such a wonderful story because as you were talking about sitting there, you at the by the water, and what we all enjoy, or you really don't like the beach, is that saltwater seaweed smell, that freshness of this is a different place I'm at right now. And it
yes,
kind of takes our senses over. And to be able to do that to something that we can all enjoy, and that's having a glass of wine with a group of friends, and you just take it to another level. So let me ask you this. A lot of people have creative ideas. A lot of people go, or they see something that's so simple yet remarkable. They go, "Why didn't I think of that?" But very few take action on it. So, what do you think was unique about you that you actually took your pen and drew a little sketch and made something of this idea as opposed to just talking yourself out of it, saying, well, I don't have the background, or I know nothing about patents, or, all of this reluctancy that people come up with all these limiting beliefs. What was unique, do you think, about you and your approach?
excellent. Yes, because I've had, like everybody, like you just said, we all have ideas. And I've had some, and I had a few that I had many, many years ago. And a friend of mine came in one day and I was telling him, I said, oh, I got this idea. And he said, oh, what is it? And I said, I don't want to tell you because, you're going to run with it. And he said, 99% of the people, he said, we all have great ideas. Most of us are just lazy. We don't act on it. We don't. And that always stuck in the back of my head because I've had a few other things that I wanted to do. And then years after that, I watched them come to fruition with somebody else and be successful. And this time I talked to my daughter about it and she said, you know what, you got to, I mean, I'm retired. I have a little bit nest egg put away. And I said, you know what, I'm going to just try and go for it and let's see what happens. And having been in sales my whole life, uh, are you in sales at all or?
I I I market my materials. Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm not afraid of failure
Okay.
because in
Okay.
sales, you fail 90% of the time. I played baseball as a kid growing up. And, if you hit the ball 3 out of 10 times, you were a star.
You're a Hall of Famer.
Yeah. So you
Yeah.
fail 70% of the time and you're still correct. So I wasn't
Yeah.
afraid to fail. And I think
Gotcha.
that's a big part of why I continued
Why
going.
do you think you weren't afraid of failure?
I don't know. I guess because I failed so many times, it would be like, what's another one? Right? I mean, I've knocked
Yeah.
on so many doors and tried to sell so many different products and nope, nope, no. And then,
Yeah.
those were the ones that inspired me to work harder, work a little more, learn a little bit about this person, and then become not a friend, but somebody that they liked and trusted. And then the door always opened after that.
Okay. Okay. So this is something that I think a lot of people get stuck on, and that is they think failure is the end, and they think that they'll have even lower self-esteem, and they'll feel even worse about themselves. So a lot of times they don't even try. They keep it comfortable. They don't go out of their comfort zone, and you, among all the salesmen out there, some say, well, it's a numbers game, and all of the different approaches we have to try to not allow a no to impact us so that we are unwilling to continue. Tell us about what went on in your mind that kept you in the game, that kept you encouraged, that allowed you to continue to ask, even though you were getting no's.
The biggest thing, especially with the wine decanter, is it worked. So
Okay.
I had right, I had that confidence that in sales, luckily, I was always hired by um, top-notch companies that I worked for. I mean, I sold Sacreed, I sold eyeglasses, I sold bank forms, I sold lumber. I mean, I've done, and they were always one of the top brands. So I always had the confidence in
Okay.
what I was selling.
Gotcha.
And that makes it pretty easy to go back. And then it would just be if I made my first sale call on you, 99% of the time they were like, I'm all set. I have my companies and stuff. And I would ask, can I still come back and show you my specials and what I have? And not 100% of the time, but a huge majority, they would say yes because they were curious too. And there was no pressure. I'm not a big pressure guy.
Yeah.
I don't believe it. I don't like it. So I don't sell that way.
Gotcha. Gotcha. What is that TV show where you come and you show your product and the 5 billionaires or something
Oh, yeah.
challenge you?
Shark Tank.
Yeah, Shark Tank. Uh,
Yeah.
have you thought about that at all?
Forever. And
Have you?
even even before this, I mean, I love that show. Even when I had nothing in mind, I watch it every week. I think it's just amazing. I love, like you said, people had an idea and they acted on it.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite ones was the guy from Ring, the doorbell Ring.
Okay. Yeah.
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 He went on that show and none of them bought into it. And 2 years later, he sold it for $1 billion. So
Yeah.
he didn't accept no.
Yeah. Yeah. Great example. Great example. Now, is that a tough show to get on?
Not necessarily. You apply in the launch company that I use to help me get my product off. They've had a dozen of their inventors go on, and
Okay.
8 out of the 12 have gotten deals.
All right.
Uh,
Okay.
but I don't feel I'm ready for that yet because
Gotcha.
I still watch it a lot, and
Yeah.
the numbers they want, the questions they ask, I don't have all the data that they
Gotcha.
want.
Gotcha.
So I'm going to wait until I'm ready. And if I get the chance, I mean, I'd just love to be on TV, even if they say no.
Well,
I have to work on a little bit. I'm going to
it
have to
sounds like you
exercise a
got a
little bit.
foolproof product that delivers the results. And I guess a lot of times they wanna know what the track record is. How many sales have you had? And then
Yes.
well, it doesn't sound like you're ready yet, and you don't wanna get through every hoop you have to jump through to get there and then have that occur. So I get that. Um, so for individuals out there that are listening to this and, they are thinking about, because I think everybody, no matter what line of business they're in, is always kind of enchanted by this, going into business for themselves concept. What they don't realize is why work 8 hours a day for someone else when you can work 24 hours a day for yourself, which
Yeah.
is what happens. But if you love it, it doesn't matter, right?
Right.
So, what would you say to them that perhaps have an idea, but have lined up so heavily on the why it won't work side, as opposed to how do I find out for sure? Um, what would you say to them to kind of maybe help them rethink the roadblock they've confronted?
Yeah. Most, especially products or even anything, there is an inexpensive way to get started to test it to
Okay.
make sure that you feel confident that it is going to work. So you're getting feedback from others. I had that prototype. I mean, it's really kind of hysterical when you look at it now. But I would take that to friends' houses and everywhere I go and try it. And so many people like, oh my God, I can't believe how much that changed it.
Wow.
So you hear it enough, and it builds that confidence. I tend to be a confident person anyway, so it wasn't as much of a challenge. Like I said, I'm not afraid to fail.
Yeah.
It's never been a defining God, if it was a defining moment, I would be in a home right now. So,
So let me ask you this. You retired and, for a lot of people, that can be the end for them because it's not because how old they are, it's because they don't have a vision any longer. They were so addicted to going
right.
to work every day that then now they have nothing to look forward to. You can only watch so much TV, play so much golf or whatever it may be. And boredom sets in, which is,
Yeah.
the next step to not wanting to participate in this thing called life any longer. And yet you got this idea, and what has it done to your the pep in your step? What do you think it's done? Not that you've ever had a bad attitude, but what do you think it's done to your overall perspective now?
Yeah, the excitement when I have like doing this podcast now, or when I know I have a show coming up, the adrenaline rush is amazing. It brings me back to my old sports days when I was
Wow.
playing.
Okay.
And I remember, I was a pitcher in baseball. So when I knew I was getting the ball start of that game, I mean, I had to actually learn how to control the adrenaline
Okay.
because
Okay.
I would get too much. And I get this when I go to shows. My favorite part of doing the shows is two people come up and one says, "Yeah, I'll try that." And the other one, "Well, you want to try?" And they're like, "No, I don't really like red wine." So I'm like, "Well, this product changes red wine. Would you consider even just a sip?" So most of the time they'll say, "Okay, I'll try." And they get that, so I pour first out of the decanter, the one that's been decanted,
Okay.
and they take a sip and they go, "Oh," you get the, "Oh." Then they take another sip, and they're like, "See, now I could drink this wine. What is this wine?" I said, "Well, hold on for a second. Try this." And out of the same bottle, what I usually do is I'll decant 3/4 of the bottle and I'll leave 25% in. And then I'll pour out of that bottle into that glass. And then I said, "Now try this." And 99.9% of the time, they'll take a sip and go, "Oh, this is why I don't like red wine." And I'll go,
That's
"Yes,
beautiful.
because you're drinking it incorrectly."
Wow.
And their face and even the people who drink red wine, it's like, I could be drinking this when I'm drinking that. And it's like, yes, you could be.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
so that alone, when I'm doing an event, because it's happened pretty much every time, I I get excited
Yeah.
about going. So that part really, really is fun.
Well, another thing that you just shared, which is profound, is that you didn't take their objection and have it shut you down. You were curious about it.
Oh
And you
yeah.
got them to be curious themselves because innately we're all curious. I don't know if you know this, but a toddler asks this is an MIT study, asks over 290 questions in a day.
Wow.
And they haven't even learned to speak yet. So whenever they point at something, that's a question they're asking.
Oh yeah. Right. Okay.
An adult asks 5 questions a day. So by you asking these questions, they'll go, "Well, yeah, well, let me try that." And they're overcoming their old belief about wines make this happen to me, and then they live their whole life with that belief because they've never challenged it. Now, this decanter of yours, does it like fill one side and then it flows over something through the oxygen level and then down into another? How does it work?
Okay. Can I show you? I have it right
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So this is it. And as you can see the bottom has the steps in it. See the step?
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Yeah.
So it sits on this base, like this wooden
Okay.
base,
Okay.
and then it just goes from side to side. So it rolls down these steps
Oh,
and
for
it
heaven's
gets to the
sakes.
and then as it goes here, it goes down those steps.
So it is
And then
just like the waves coming in and out.
oh yeah, yeah. Oh my God, what are the odds of this? I have a bottle of wine here too. So this is perfect because we're going to a friend's house tonight to play dominoes. And
Okay.
I usually decant the bottle before we go. I put it back in the bottle and I bring it finished with me.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so that way, and I take it to all the restaurants I go to, anywhere where I'm going to have a glass of wine.
Yeah.
So then,
And then you're doing a little advertising as well
oh, it's
because
so
it's a
much.
unique looking decanter too.
Well, when I started the the launch company that I was using, they did prototypes for me, the 3D printed, so they were a little bit smaller than I wanted. Every time I go back, "Oh, we've made a couple more, we've made a couple more." They were all round. And I'm
Oh,
yes, and I would go back and we'd have a meeting. Luckily, they're only 45 minutes away. We'd
ye
have a meeting, and I'd walk in, and I'm going, "Again?" They said, "But this one is this, and this, and this." I said, "How many times? I don't want round." They said, "Well, we go online and we research, and we only can find round."
Oh,
And I'm
okay.
like, "Exactly, exactly. That's one reason I didn't want it." Plus,
Gotcha.
I needed the rocking. I needed the visual of the
Yeah,
rocking.
yeah, yeah.
And, you know, a lot of the shows I've had many people who have bought this, it's always on display. They think it's very artisanal looking, very different.
You
So
know
it's not
you know what you're doing too? And you need to market this part of it? One of the reasons why people like to go to coffee shops, Starbucks or independents, whatever it is because of the experience.
yes.
It's not because the coffee is so great. It's because they can use Wi-Fi, they can see people coming in and out, and they have something that they can do. Like, I like to have a mocha in the morning. We have an espresso machine, so, like, I grind the beans, and it's not about just having a cup, it's going through the process, and look at what you're doing now. You're
Yes.
creating an kinesthetic experience where people are participating in the joy they're about to have when they get the opportunity to drink this, not just the decanting of it, but the process you've created because it's fun just watching you do that.
It is. And I do promote because this is you hit the nail on the head. This is exactly how I want to take this. It's not
Yeah,
just that's why we went with the name Liquid Jazz Experience.
beautiful. I love that.
Because yeah, because that's what we want. And how I got the name Liquid Jazz, every year for 35 years, we would have it wasn't really a Christmas party. It was kind of an open house
Okay.
and people would come. Well, 25 years ago, the first year I made homemade wine, um, our son was a saxophone major at the University of Massachusetts.
Okay.
So his sax quartet came out to the house and they were playing Christmas carols as people were coming in and out of the house. So, we usually have 75, 80 people just, come, some people 15 minutes, they say hi. So he's playing and he was always big band, marching band. Those were his two favorite areas. So every note had to be played the way it was written,
Okay.
because big band, other instruments are coming in, marching band, people are changing,
Yeah.
their pattern. So they were playing, they take a break. And then when they come back, he has his friend Ray on the drums, Andy's playing guitar. And now they're playing all these different tunes and they're a little upbeat. So Tony, the guy that taught me how to make wine, and my wife, they go up to our son, Anthony, and say, "Anthony, what's going on? This is so not you." So he said, "Well, during the break, we got into the homemade wine." And one of the guys in the back said, "We got into the liquid jazz."
Ah,
Yes.
sweet, sweet.
So I it's always stuck with me. I've always loved that. So that's why our logo is a saxophone pouring notes into a glass of wine.
Oh, oh, that's really clever. I like that.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
that. So while you're doing that, I would imagine that you're sending an aroma out as well with the way that neck's
Yes.
designed. So they're smelling
Correct.
it while they're yeah, while they're
Yeah. No, it
decanting.
makes a big difference. And then we do have a on the decanter as part of the patent, it has a floated spout. So if you could see when I pour, see it has a nice pour to it.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
So you tend to get less drippage that way.
Oh, nice, nice,
Yeah. And
nice.
then I do have glasses, and the glasses have the ridges in the bottom
Oh,
of the glass.
so
So
you're continuing to decant.
correct, with each sip. Now, traditionally, with the stem glasses, people have it and they swirl and swirl and swirl.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
we're a rock. We rock. So instead of swirling and snipping, you just put it right under your nose and you rock it. And
Nice.
now the flavor profile, it just envelops everything. It's going up,
Oh,
your nose, your whole face is really getting into it. And then you got to practice this. So it takes time. I practice 3 or 4 times a week, sometimes 5. But as you're rocking, just as you start to smell the aromas coming in, as you feel it filling your nasal cavity, you go right into the sip.
okay.
So
Okay.
this, the sip, and now you have all of that flavor up in here, and you get it in, and it's on your palate, and everything is just full and complete. It's an awesome experience. It's so cool, and it's funny.
Outstanding.
My grandchildren, they like the glasses too. So now when they come visit, they'll put apple juice or whatever, and they're rocking the glass.
That's fantastic. Well, it has been a real joy having conversation with you. You've really got something going on, and it's certainly, and I would imagine you've been told this before, need to be definitely a part of the marketing because you are very authentic. You're fun to listen to. You got a nice accent that just is
Oh,
so folksy and grounded that people want to participate, and it overcomes skepticism. You're not slick. You're not trying to sell something. You're allowing people the opportunity to decide, do I want to have that experience myself?
okay, yeah,
Right. And that is
yes.
so wonderful how you've done that. So, how do people reach out to you um, so that they can get more information? And are these available yet?
Yes, yep, they are available. I have inventory right here. We live on a commercial space, so
Okay.
I have the inventory right here. So I usually ship out next day, sometimes the following day. But yeah, the website is liquidjazzexperience.com.
Okay.
And actually now I'm running, the regular price was for the decanter and the wooden base was 149. But since I started the podcasting world,
Okay.
it's $99 for that. So we took,
Wow.
yeah,
That's
yep.
a
So
that's a great
we're
buy.
going for it. We're going for it.
Well, thank you so much for being a part of the Brain Vault podcast and sharing not only this great opportunity that people have to truly experience the moment and not have to wait, because waiting is another art that most of us aren't really want to practice.
I agree 100% with
Right.
that.
So thank you again, and I wish you all the best. And for all my listeners, remember that what you've learned now from Michael is really how to savor the moment, how to recognize that it's part of the experience. And the more present you can become and enjoy it, the more abundance you'll experience in your life. Just as Michael has sharing this with us, he's created a delightful experience. We got to go to the beach and smell that great salt and seaweed and also watch him decant with a very unique bottle that is a great buy for any of you that are interested in participating with him. So thank you again, and I look forward to our paths crossing in the future.
That would
All
be
the
great.
best,
Would love.
all the best to you, Michael.
Thank you.
You're welcome.